Okay, I'm getting in.
You're actually getting in?
Yeah, I want to get in the water. We need to do like a quick fit check.
Mom, just feel it first.
I think you chose like the muddiest spot for me to step in. Okay, I'm coming in.
Just feel.
Okay.
Really cold.
Oh my goodness, it is. It's cold.
Just stay in for a little.
Does it warm up if I stay in for a little bit?
Yeah. You'll get used.
Hey everybody! It has been a minute since I uploaded a video and I am so pumped to be back. Our life has changed drastically since the last time I filmed. Let me tell you a little bit about what our life looks like now. As you can see, nature. I live in nature now. We now live in central Utah. We are actually technically not in any city limits. My sister and her husband bought a 40-acre farm. Well, it used to be a farm. They are cleaning it up and fixing it up, and they're going to try and make it a small functioning farm again for their family. We decided it'd be really cool for us to come live with them and help them work on the projects that they've got on the property and get everything cleaned up and running and back to the former glory, I guess, or the new vision of what this land is going to be. Right now, we live partially in nature, but partially in a construction zone. It's basically like camping full time, except sometimes you get woken up by like heavy machinery. Sometimes it's peacocks. Sometimes it's alpacas yelling at each other. Those wander close by the house a lot too. It has been fantastic. It has been such a good, calming change for our family. It has been so nice to have my sister and her 5 kids and her husband and everyone close by, and my kids are loving having so much cousin time, which has been fantastic. Tell me what you love about living here.
River.
The river?
And cousins.
Oh, can you hear the, there it is. There's one of the construction trucks doing their thing. We're getting the gas lines put in. We just got electrical pretty much set, which is exciting to have full electricity again. For a while there, we were running off of a generator at all times, and that was exciting. You know what? It gives us so much gratitude for electricity and the ability to flip on a switch and have a light, or plug in the toaster and be able to make toast like that and not have to turn on the generator. With us moving here, we are about 2.5 hours away from where we used to live up in very, very northern Utah, like almost Idaho, which makes it a little bit difficult with Chris and his job because we moved here before finding him a new job. He currently makes a 2.5-hour commute back to his county that he works for and stays at friends' houses when he has shifts like back-to-back days, so that he doesn't have to make that giant commute as often. It's a little tricky not having him living with us half the time, and we're pretty excited for that to change. He has applied to another department that is down here closer to us. That inspired me to tell you guys about the hiring process when you're becoming a police officer. So a normal job, you fill out an application and then you do an interview, maybe 2 or 3 depending on what the position is, and then maybe a drug test with some jobs, and then you get hired on, and that's it. Police hiring is far different and takes a whole lot longer. When my husband first applied to the large city that he used to work for a few years back, he put in his application, and from that time until he finally got his actual hire date was 18 months. Now, most of the time it doesn't take quite that long, but it can, because there are so many different hoops they have to jump through. Now, as I explain this to you, please know that every department is a little bit different. Every agency is slightly different. They all have their own style of doing things, but the general consensus is very similar. If you are applying to be a police officer, the first step, just like other jobs, is to put in an application. The next step is often a PT test or a physical test, where they give you a list of, here are how many push-ups you need to do and how fast you need to run a mile and how many sit-ups you need to do and all the things, and they put you through a fairly rigorous physical test to see if you are physically capable of doing the job. They also have you do a written test just to make sure, can you communicate in English? Can you communicate in writing? Do you have like basic common sense to know how to handle a situation. Then once you've passed the PT test and you have passed the written test, then they usually invite you in for an interview. If that interview goes well, then they move on to the background check portion. The background check portion is intense. That usually includes calling your, oh my gosh, what are they called? References. Usually it also includes not just the references you put down and former employers, but it also includes like coming to your neighborhood and knocking on doors and talking to your neighbors to see what kind of people are you. Do your neighbors like living next to you? Are you generally a decent human being? As you're going through the background check, it is a thick packet of paperwork that you have to fill out, including what your credit score is, how much debt do you have, previous tax returns. You have to send in so much information. The reason they do that is to ensure that you are not super susceptible to bribes. If you have a lot of debt, or if you are not very good with your finances, you're more likely to be willing to take a bribe. Obviously, that's a problem when you are in a place of authority. Many agencies will also have the officer go through a lie detector test, hooked up to all the things and asked all the questions. They also often will go through a physical exam, as far as like a doctor checking you out to make sure you're generally healthy. And then they will do a psych eval where they have to go in and take a written test once again, but this is a psychological test. And then they sit down with a psychologist or a psychiatrist or whatever, like, you know, a brain doctor or a head doctor. I guess not a brain doctor, that's a neurologist, a head doctor, to make sure you're not crazy. After you've gone through all of these steps, then they'll finally give you a start date. Whew, it is a lot. So we are in the process right now of getting my husband switched from his far north agency down to something here in the central Utah area, so that hopefully he will be able to live with us full time again. Like really, really soon. Because I'm anxious to have him live with us all the time again. Because I miss my husband. I know that's weird, but I do. So if you are wanting to be a police officer, there's a loved one in your life that wants to be a police officer, and it's taking a really, really long time to get hired on, hang tight. I know it's a process, but you can get there, and once you get there, it's actually a pretty great career and a good life to be in. A little chaotic and crazy at times, but it's a good life overall. If you have any questions about the hiring process, I am by no means an expert, but I have lived this a few times now with my husband switching agencies, and I would be more than happy to answer questions if you have any. If you guys want to see more of this property and kind of see where we're living and maybe see animals that we have and whatever, we got a bunch of chickens, and we just bought a male peacock. His name's Ernesto. So cute, and he hangs out with the two female hens. When we moved in, the hens were already here, and so we just bought Ernesto so the ladies have a little boyfriend. Hopefully we'll have little baby peacocks running around here soon. Well, in the spring. We also have some alpacas. They're they're very standoffish, but I could get some video from afar. Anyway, let me know if you want to see more of this property, and we can walk around and I can film at different places throughout the property so that you can kind of see where we're living now. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a fantastic day, everybody. Otter Momma signing out.